This is so wrong. Era nze nwananya abavubuka muleme kugenda na mentality zabo ababatisa. No, the formula is one. When you see a person who has made it, mukope genda out. Muve mbana baba buzabu music industry in a system, but they fail people. Mbuno simanyi Illuminati. Guys, I was in Nairobi with Jose Chameleon. We slept on the floor. Netwebike akagundi twagabana nengoye z'okwambala. Bombo clat when you come and sembo Illuminati nga gwe waliwa ne Uganda nga weba kamufaliso ne blanket nga bakuwa chai nga ffe tutambula kwa Afia Center tukola tunonya gwe joita Illuminati. Well, if that is Illuminati, then forgive me, I am Illuminati. More very strange, but you see, because I love my country so much, I will not cease. I don't. This life today goes against a few things with my management, but unfortunately, life is beyond just career and management. Life is life. Life. You will understand when your career stops to mean anything. That it was important for you to put a tafari on your own people in your own country for the betterness of your own people. If you have information in the head, you should share it at the right time. This is one of the youngest countries where people, these young people need to hear these things. You must not shy away from amazima. Nebwegawa galuma, you say it. Uganda is the country a single kubera ne opportunities. That's why Uganda, anything can be done. Fetu supporting zabayimbi okuva mbuli nsi yonna. When has a Ugandan artist ever gone to any country and been supported and become a star? But every single Nigerian artist who has made it worldwide has come here before they are big, and then they get that big audience on the picture. They become big in the UK, they become big in the world. How comes it is not happening the other way around? Because it is the Ugandan who hasn't found the formula. Memucha tusko tuze mabega. Lokuba tudde UK mu Kasenge munawe ena analysis jowa ku Uganda ku Bebe Cool. Young man and young woman. Enensi kumwetandika butandisi kubanga nkusuubiza. Naka katebe ko tudde kwako. Botaka kozese nga brand nga atunda brand. It's not paying. Otherwise manyi wosula. Nebyokola nebo hasu nebo safaringa ne family yo nga bwe muli. Sirina kyenkwegomba kera subira muvubuka ina kumugamba nti yegombe abavubuka ababiri abasatu abasiba ku TikTok nga bababuza abuzambu their lives are better. No. It's because you always keep misguiding people, because you have misguided mindsets. Mwemuchala be Bungereza na America ngebitalo. Oh my God, nonya visa. I respect everyone who went to Europe and America to work. Okolaka sente ka katono okomyewo. But I disrespect everyone whose mindset is out there to make a Ugandan think it is important okuva wano okugende erimba bali eribe bakabi. How many people have been on social media here nga babagamba banange kama yanyambe nasonze yebe nakozeza nenkoma waliwo mwami wane yazimba mall bamita bakalwa eri Haji Bakalwa eri Rudawa Kisas. Yes, he gives you a good story about what exactly is. See Haji Bakalwa, so many people in the beginning those days it was okay because abazungu bali tebananyweza nnyo nati ngosobola okukola sente zone zibeera valuable no zimba wano ate ne wana Uganda ebiseera ebyo matakanga bya sente ntono ebintu ebyokozesa okuzimba mayumba nga bya sente ntono. You could, but now the world is different. today bw'otunuulira Abamerika bennyini abazungu bagamba nange. Africa is better than America. Uganda is better than UK, US. It is better. Naye gojja gamba nti ojja kumbuuza ng'oyagala kuleeta mwana eno okusamba mupiira. That is the petty thinking. Of course n'omuzungu bwe yajja wano yajja kubba nange njaga kujjayo nzibeyo kyenzibye nkizze. Naye naawe bw'oba ogendayo kubbayo kyobbye ozze eno. Not because nti yewasinga naye waliwo ekyokubbayo. Just like always the president says, even a fool can survive in Uganda. How do you tell me that's not the best place? Today, President Traore Mulaba Charike Burkina Faso. Alwana na mindset z'abantu kweche ekintu. Third most selling gold country. Yakusatu mu production ya gold ANC. Augmenting over Burkina Faso to go to America for greener pastures? Really? My best person today, and I had this argument with most of my friends in the US when I went there. I told them Trump will become the president because now the world is open. The worst weapon that has been created ever in this world is called TikTok. That is the mass destruction weapon that was created, and surprisingly, not even any bright white person or any bright black person could anticipate the dangers of TikTok. TikTok is as Americans went to Iraq pretending to look for weapons of mass destruction, a Chinese man was in America creating the weapon of mass destruction. The weapon of mass destruction is called TikTok. By basic information, you know that information is power. And if you're an American, or if you're a European, or anyone who is in governments in Europe, you should have known that the only reason you took over the world was because information was only kept to you, by you. The second you chose to allow information to flow, now everyone has the information, so that means everyone has the power. So Traore has the power, Museveni has the power, an African in Luwero, in Gulu now knows, because we get information from you. We now know the things. It's no longer like those days when you used to come and land and say, I mean, there's two stations in the US. There's CNN and there's BBC. BBC is UK. There's what network is that? So you can see that all the programs that are programmed on those stations are programmed to change with a narrative, with an intended narrative. The Democrats are on this station. The Republicans are on the other one. So everyone has a way they build the mindset of their supporters to believe what they are saying. That's why at the end of the day, Trump, oh my God, all Africans must thank Trump. That's the way to think. That is how to think. I remember when he said that statement and said, that it was Putin, President Putin, who said Africans live in they live in a graveyard. He commented something to do with a graveyard. But what he meant was actually very positive for us to think about. The same way Trump is helping us to think. Close the funding so that I can look around myself and look for money within myself. That means you're helping me. How much funding has been stopped in Uganda? How many people have died, surely? Bobby Wine has been shouting every now and then. So many projects successfully have been closed in Uganda. People don't have jobs. Remember, from the fact that there were less jobs, The man kept on walking up and down saying, they'll stop funding Uganda, and now more don't have jobs. But then guess what? When Trump stops the funding, we are now more serious on the corruption, looking for the best ways to curb corruption, looking for the best ways to look for money within ourselves so that we can be self-dependent. Kakati bw'osanga abantu abatasobola kulowooza nti ne statement gyenkola in music, or if you find people who can't think that even a single statement I make in music involves something, a narrative within the economy, political and social conversation within my head, I understand when you don't understand. That's why I say, ask, please ask. Don't just say things. Some of us have been blessed to have the reason to have the opportunity to be close to leaders. It wasn't by mistake that I looked for my way closer to the president, or I looked for my way closer to politicians and these rich people and owners of the so-called radios. I needed to understand the perspective of ownership of those properties, the perspective of sitting in those offices, the perspective of power, the perspective of finances, being rich. I needed to understand those things and relate to myself. So when you come to discuss what Bebe has said, please watch. I expect the good thing is abantu abasinga okubeera important. Okay, abantu benali tutemu ensa abakola analysis, they hadn't said anything because I know they watched the whole 3 hours. They did watch the whole 3 hours. So they knew the context in which I said the statement I did. But only these ones who want to impress, we are opposition. Even if you do a good song we don't like, even if something good happens we don't appreciate. We already know your opposition and we don't care. We will only do one thing, make a good life for you so that you can stay alive, live well. After all, half of the opposition people here in Abalim Parliament, they are as rich as no man's business. I only feel sorry, and that's why I support Museveni, because Museveni cares about the poor person in the opposition, because he knows that that person has been misled. Here you are following a guy who definitely, you see him kneeling down in Bazungu, yet the narrative on Africa today is patriotism. Oh my goodness. And you even say, Abadembazungu, and Nemukuba Nengal, really? Ngatemulaba Africa, you nego babazungu. You come mamuri mabega wakari. The likes of Nambos, the pretenders, just because they look for office. So, and this issue is political, because it is serving people two-way. If we've been to be politics, we've been serving a two-way, and I'm happy that things are happening that way. Nemumalamu abantu abamageze ekitiibwa kati bulaba eri wali olutalo Namboze byayogedde bya kisiru nnyo. It is the most stupid thing. Lwaki temwaze kwebyo nemu correctinga Namboze muli ku Bebe kulu olwokubanga mwagala okubika ensobi za Namboze. You started that topic because Namboze had done the most stupid. Bobi Wine and Namboze this week have said the most stupid two statements. How do you attack? How do you come and say nti Abaganda abawakyawagira Museveni muli basiru nnyo? Obuwagizi bw'omukulembeze wa Uganda buva ku Baganda oba buva ku Bannayuganda? Why is your topic always about Baganda? Can't you have common sense and see nti nekyo kikukyaya tribes endala? For us, of course, tukubengalo naye ate kinuma nnyo kati njagala nnyo ku exposing exactly what nali ngamba nti no Bobi Wine omutwe gwo munafu nnyo. at least emyaka gy'omaze mu politics today wali badde oyina ky'oyizeeko. Museveni bw'aba akuba akalulu wali badde oyiga akubira wa. You have to learn from the best. Bulijjo nange nenonyamu ekintu ekigambo waayo oba kasajja nkawalana lwa music no naye n'obwongo obukalu nabo butukooya. That's why we are still stuck with the NRM. Gwe notamanya nti obukulembeze is not about Baganda. Otukyayisiza abantu bonna oyagala okuleeta tribalism eddemu abantu batandika okubanga batulabanga Abaganda. Tugenda kwesigala nji okula tukyuke nga basobola okulaba nti tuli Baganda ennyindo tuzisale ng'omaze tukyayisa. Can't you just learn that leadership is about every tribe, not one? Then nizileta namboze embo fe tusobola okufuna ebulwana e Buganda ezirijo n'endala ne tubagaana okulonda. Really? And you are a human being in Uganda here? Ye mwe abatudde mu bantu baffe wano mukulembeza. Ensonga lwaki I've gone to the politics is because it is noob bloggers obwavuddeyo ne butandika okumisguidinga nga bukozesa statement yange okukavaringa mistakes ezakoleddwa mu wiiki zabadde bbiri eza nuupu. Omanyi this is how social media works. Okay? Omuntu bw'akola ensobi abeera asaba Katonda wajjewo topic emubika. Kakati topic eyo bwebula ng'omuntu oyo akuba essimu agamba aba bloggers be nti mulonde ku ekyo bukibuzaabuze bwe kiti mukole bwe muti. If you really meant that Bebe Cool meant ntino ya blocking anga abayimbi, why didn't you play at least a clip of 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the conversation? You have lost it completely, you young people, you old people who are pretending mwe mubulirira bana abantu. If you notice, there's been consistency in my position in a lot of things. Ndi consistent politically, and I'm consistent on ebintu byembera mbulira. Nebozijjayo tewabangayo statement iyo naje yali ekyuse mu kamwa kange. Kwanja nyensi yange. And I want people to understand. Ne music yono nalibadde namuvaamu mbabulira mazima because I see where also a percentage ziri. Now that I know the music muzibu nnyo ensendala zituleka tewali muyimbi muto agenda kusobola kukompitinga ku level competing bwako kati ekigenda okubeera wensi yaffe bajja gifuulanga yo ya welcoming all the stars who become big, all the African big stars are becoming a big munsi nga ffe betulinda ne tuteeka na lugogo ne jula yonna nga ffe tetulinayo waffe asobola kugenda kubanga kati music ali so expensive. Kati bana abaana abata baliwo banakola batya albums zino n'ennyimba ezo tebasobola balina kola kamukamu. Kati bw'oyagala Bebe Cool ate ku ssaawa eno nga yasobola okuteekamu ku kasente ate naye aveeyo, then kati industry n'atuuka ddi okukolayo album. Mweke nyini abana Uganda mwe mubeeraawo Wizkid ayina album, Davido yatadde album, abana Uganda muliko ki ne mujerega epasi yakola ka album ke mu ddiiro lye biki and you tewali na luyimba luzanya. That is you. Kakati ate Bebe afunye ku sente asobola okwaccessinga funds esokola album ate bwagikola ate nti oyo baganya bana ate okuvayo bali badde lwaki bali badde bava mu music nga bali legends nga simanyi bakwina record label. Who told you to make a record label? You just need to be old. You the young one, why can't you make one instead? it is very, very, very important for you mulina okufumiitiriza, mulina okuyiga okufumiitiriza. Bwe mutafumiitirizenga temujja kutegeeranga kiki lwaki abantu bakola ebintu bye bakola ki bye bakola. Ate nabagambako dda nti obwongo bw'omwana omuto tebusobola ku digestinga bintu kwenkana bwongo bwa muntu mukulu. Omuntu omukulu bw'ayogera byayogera tebabisuula mu gguluka. Kivula nabakubira kabakamwako. Kati waliwo ne gwe nalabye yakuteeyo statement n'ateekako akayimba kabakamwako. Kikola positive two way. Akamwako kaso kubanga kogera ebintu naye nga abantu tebabitegeera. So mwabadde bagezaako okuddira topiki ya Bebe Cool mu gifuule nti ebika mistakes za Nambooze neza Kadingo. Sebo temujja kugubika waawo. Ate okumanya temujja kubikawo. Ekirungi nalabye ne kana akavubuka ke South Africa kakisekanga era today actually wembadde ndaba nenga actually ndoza mulimuko ku bantu abagezaako okutegeera common sense nga bayina bamanyi okufumiitiriza. Kakiseka nkalabye kabyogera. That's where you should point. Actually nebajjo leero mulabye. Omanye yo muvuka tategeera naye ate naye leero alina amagezi. Eyo gye mulina okuti muli mu nsobi. Temuddira byaffe ebintu ebiguiding abaana. Why in this world would amaanyi gennina sisobola gatuuzaako muntu. Sisobola. Ekyo mu kufa kwange Allah ankole kyayagala. Sisobola. Because already nebenwana nabo banafu. Yenze nkyalina gwenwana naye musically. No one. I'm doing musical wange like nothing. My job is to only support the Ugandan artists to see how far can we go. But the support is not putting ice cream in your mouth. You young people. The support won't come by smearing kungulu, mbukusiga kungulu. No. You need to understand it is even going to be tougher. Nalabye waliwo yakoze list y'abayimbi mbu abalemwa ndoza kati mutegedde lwaki mwalemwa mbu the big three mbu system. Illusion in your mind. Obunafu. When we prayed tubagamba nange kati ngenda bagamba ekintu maze emyaka mingi nga mbagamba kunjaga. Ambagaba n'enjaga eyo gye mulaba nze nagitegeera enjaga kyekola. Enjaga eyo ena element gye making omuntu okubeera comfortable. N'olabira ddala ng'ogenza oli wakabi. Kati omuntu wakabi ayinza okukola already aba amanyi wakabi. Get me that from. Omuntu bw'obanga oli mu modi yegamba nti Rastafari. Oba olaba oline Katonda ng'otuuse oba tusobola kukola mulo oba tusobola kukola era bwe kuggwako ekibeerawo kibeera nti oba oyagala kuddayo eri ewa Katonda wabadde atudde ng'ozzaako. I don't want to put names on this, but I have seen so many great artists in Uganda destroy their careers and their lives because of weed. Instead of listening to these things that I keep dropping one by one, hey guys, make friends. How many today, if I may ask you young people, why do you think when Jeff promotes an artist, if that artist leaves Jeff, it's very difficult for them to make it? Why do you think so? It's because you refuse to understand what is Jeff's strength. Jeff's strength is friends with DJs, friends with owners of radio stations. That is his strength. So when he gets an artist, he just keeps taking them back in his social capital. When he goes back to his social capital, when he has a new artist, he will tell his friends that stop playing the old artist. I'm no longer working with him or her. Play this new artist. That's why when you leave Swangs Avenue has a budget that only pays for artists in there. They don't pay for artists who have left Swangs Avenue because those artists would be competing with the new artists. So the budget will go on the new artist. So Swangs Avenue as a management or a record company will go and say, please remove all the previous songs from the playlist. Now load these new songs. It is as easy as that. That's what I meant. So as an individual artist, I can do the same. That I was supporting so and so, but now I don't. Please, instead of that, in the money I gave, please play so and so. So I want you artists to take this as business, not as fun, not as a favor, not as, we are not in church, guys, because you're wasting a lot of time. It should not be time wasted. It should be time invested. It's a business. Music, the music industry is a business. How is business done? Ask yourselves. That's why these guys that we're trying to compete with, of course, recently when I did my interview with Desope in the UK, I was so hurt by just the things he told me. And he was right. The Ugandan artists started to go to the UK, to London, as much as the Nigerian artists were going there. Actually, I can guarantee you that there is no Nigerian who had a club. The clubs were owned by Ugandans. One of ours was Charlie Lubega, who owned, it was called Paya. Yeah, Paya One, and another, what club in London. And even the Nigerians were having their nights in there. But there is no single Ugandan artist bwe balinga batutwala agenda ku Friday ku Lwokubiri na kola media tour mu UK. No, bwe batutwalanga ku Lwokubiri n'otuuka ku Lwokubiri olw'eggulo ne bakutwala mu ddiiro ly'omuntu ne bakwalira ne weebakaawo ne bakukima ne bakutwala okulya emmere olw'eggulo muka restaurant k'abana Uganda. Jukira ogenze kuyimbira abana Uganda naye ne bakutwala mu restaurant y'abana Uganda ate ne bakomyawo ne bakuteeka mu ddiiro ne weebakaawo. N'otuuka Wednesday, Thursday, Friday no performing ku Saturday shame. Ate olumala okuperforminga nga tiketi yo olinnya ku Sunday n'okomawo Uganda. Nga basically what has happened is ovudde Uganda mbana Uganda n'ogenda London n'otukira mu nyumba y'omuna Uganda ne weebaka blanket y'omuna Uganda n'ogyebika n'ozukuka n'olinya ku stage n'oyimbira omuna Uganda n'osituka enkeera n'okomawo Uganda. How do you become international? Omusajja yambuza n'angamba, Bebe, this is what the Nigerians did at that time. When they had a show here in the UK, they came in a month prior. And then they went to every possible radio station that they could be given an interview. And all possible clubs. Nga bakubamu 1 minute, nayogera ngenda kwera ne show yange wano nakubayoka. Even MCs and DJs could nga babagamba, you know, we have so and so, he'll be performing on this date, on this venue. Boneva building kati agenda kuita mu mabala nga 100 before his main show. Ngogendo kulanga buli bala je abantu 15 20 so when they start to open venues zabwe ne zibanga abantu bajjanga bangi nezigenda nga zigaziwa kati atenga Neku radios, their names are getting to be known. So that's how the Nigerians became big in the UK, while Ugandans stayed within Ugandans. And even the Ugandans that we had in the UK started pounding us back to Uganda. And yakuwa business class, obato yagala lekayo. Nga kwegamba ne batandika twist ddala ng'ebiyenje. Waliwo benalaba baba collecting ngo enkota. We should have gone to the UK. If you have a show there, go 1 month prior. Promote your music in different clubs, in different Nigerian restaurants and bars. Move here and there. Do a few clips here and there. Spend some time there. Nigerians spend 2 to 3 months when they are there. I did not manage to do that because I should have done it. At that time, I didn't have a family. Right now, I can't stay away from my family for 3 months. Maybe I can 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that means possibly nyinza okwanga mbadde n'okutambula n'omukyala. But gwachali omu atanaba kuzimba family. Those are the things you should be doing. For 4 years, bw'okikolera emyaka ena, there is no way abayimbi beeyo abali ku ground bwe bataakumanye. There is no way 1 or 2 or 3 radio stations that are big won't pick you up. There is no way those DJs won't pick you up. So wetubanga tubadde tuina conversation nga totegeera bintu bino, please temwefuula nti ate mbadde mbasirikiriddemukko mmwe. Mbadde mbasirikiriddemu naye ndaka ngenda kuulayo enjala. Era naddala those who want to criticize musically, please wait on the 30th and pick on that album and critically listen to it. Kati mujiwulirize kifuba so that mutegera omusajja ono ddala ddala byayogera ayesudia oba mujiwulirize. Ate bw'oba totegedde era nja kutambula, I will do a media tour even if it means 1 year and a half. But I promise you within 1 year and a half or 2 years you'll understand why Bebe did what he did. Nze sagala bya bampane. I am not a seeker of public sympathy. Forget it. I am a fact seeker. And I feed on facts, however painful they are. I'm a strong African. I slept on the streets in Nairobi. I had a home in Uganda. And you're here telling me that Illuminati, but there is a system in Uganda, but big three, but take our system. Nga paka sawa zino nchatoba. Paka sawa zino nchatoba. Sagala kwasabya ama. Nina bingi nnyo bye mmanyi nze myaka gino gyonna gye tubaddewo. So I spoke about, there was a question that was given by one of the bloggers asking me about the fights. And I told her, or I said, the fights, as long as they are verbal, not physical, it's okay. But remember, this topic came from the fact of the corporate companies. If you are going to get support or sponsorship from corporate companies, you must understand the dynamics of the corporate companies. That's why I'm saying you must take the music industry as a business, not as fun, not as looking for like a hit song or two. Because the reason that you're not getting money is because you're not taking it as a business. If you take it as a business, then you must know the do's and don'ts of businesses. And those are standard. Those issues are standard. Bw'ogitwala nga business omanya corporate companies okurelatinga naawe olina okuba nga oli muyonjo. Yes, zifubye okutusupportinga despite, because the jungle world that we came from in Nairobi, we came nga abakongo batukubye nnyo, we came nga tulwana n'emiziki w'obweru waba Jamaica waaki ne babeeramu ne kabambi. Ate n'ebiseera ebyo abantu ba mu Uganda bali tebanategeera nnyo ku analyzinga na ku scrutinizinga companies. For example, I'll give you a good example. Singo muyimbi omwavayo na attacking abakazi, the person of a woman. Gojo chigeze kongo oli muyimbi. Or attacking the person of a woman. Attacking a woman physically is different. It's also very dangerous. But attacking the person of a woman, okuyisa amwa abakazi amaso. Olabo nafunayo any company eri ku supportinga. Ane mwepanga. You don't want to learn. Gochigezangako. These companies have codes. So what I meant was, you can do the fights, but the fights are valuable. Oba nchogera mu luzungu, kanchogere mu Luganda. Ndoza nantegeera bulungi. Kwanga bambadde ndozo wedda nchogera mu luzungu. Mu Luganda nategeezezza nti okulwanagana kulyokenga kwa bigambo. Nti okuli physical si kutuufu. Okuli physical mujja kufa. Ebintu byakyuka n'abagambe nti kyovola banze nagenda okulanga okuli physical okwewala n'enkola board n'enjiteekako n'embeera ne bakobula. Kakati ng'omuyimbi oyo eyansumbuwanga okwagala okuleeta physical yagenda okulanga ye mutono nnyo n'atandika okutya ng'alengera wali bagayi babeera bajjudde zi board abagayi n'abalumba ntya n'abipowa ebyokulwana physical. Nagenda mupalapase, nagenda nalwanisa ba DJ, ng'agira ba DJ baleme kuba nyimba, baleme kumpa microphones mu clubs, era nzo okuyimba mu governor kyali nga kizibu nnyo. Okuyimba mu box ya governor edda twai okubeera wakabigo ino okuyimba, oyina okufuna omukisa n'ofuna instrumento mu time saa 8 ekiro. Ne bakukiriza okuyingira mu DJ box n'oyimba. Naye kati ngenda kikugamba nti omuyimbi oyo ya closinga ba DJ nga sirina wempita kuyingira kajjako. Oli wano mbuulira mbo system. Eyo gyoyita system, kumbe musajja watu yali yerwanako ne memuyitako. You have to understand you play your best game. Nchiddemu kibagambe ekyo temugenda kigaana, temugenda kijja bwe kiri. Kakati ngenda babuuza. Ngenda bawa best example yabaddewo namboze byayogedde. Nti mwe mulondere wane Kampala, Buganda, mulondere mu Buganda, naye mulemese regions endala abantu ogenda okuteekayo akalulu. Ekyo teki interpreting exactly kyenadde nkugamba aba music omuntu kyasobola okukola ekifo ky'okulwana. Okay, let me speak English. Maybe I don't want all my international people to get lost. Because I see they're asking me to speak English, indeed. So, my fellow Ugandans, let us address things. Let us sit back and think deeper. You stop thinking that we don't, because you stop disliking Bebe Cool because he supports Museveni. Can't you see that his life is better? Is better than yesterday? Dislike Bebe Cool if it's dangerous to your life or to Uganda. You who is even saying that Bebe Cool because you hate Bebe Cool or you don't like Bebe Cool because he supports Museveni, how much good have you done for the people of Uganda? How much good have you done? Instead of teaching people how you've made money, how you've made a good life. You still want to keep Ugandans who are poor behind the line of poverty so that they can keep voting for you. Because a person who gets money does not waste a lot of time in this nonsense. I remember the first time when I had this conversation with the president. I had a very deep conversation with the president in Rajtura. But before my meeting, there was a meeting with some very, very big people. Very big ministers, what? There were many. And you know, at that time it was immediately, we had been done with the elections about 2 weeks. So I had him making a very big argument because I was seated just next. I get the opportunity sometimes to sit close. And he was telling these people that I don't want to hear political issues 1 month or maximum 3 months after the elections. I want now to focus, let the people of Uganda focus on economical issues. But I can promise you it's only in Uganda where someone, a politician on the opposition, wants to keep people discussing Museveni for 5 years until the elections. 5 years! Okuva kalulu kaliwe kagwa. From the last election, the opposition wants the people in the opposition to stay discussing Museveni for 5 years. I have not seen them on agricultural projects, taking them back to the constituencies. No, because they tell their people that those are government projects, you reject them. I have not seen them teaching people, the people on the opposition being taught PDM. No, because they don't want to get that little money to help their homes, because the credit will then go to the present government. They want to keep you in the behind the poverty line so that that vote is not misunderstood, so that the member of parliament stays in parliament for his job and his salary. Kino ngenda chidda mu Luganda kuba kijja kunuma. I have to speak this one in Luganda. Naliko Rwakitura nga tumaze akalulu. President nga meetinga waliwo abantu abanene bali ba ministers ba MPs bichi. Nenange nali nzo mulaba. Nentula kumpi nemuulira nga abagamba nti saagala kuwulira kintu kyonna kikwatagana na politics. Omwezi gumu 2-3 oluvannyuma lw'akalulu. Njagala kati emboozi efuuke sente kukola kuyigiriza abantu kino ne kiri. Nga kyali agamba nti kiri very wrong and dangerous and inhuman okuyisa abantu n'obayisa emyaka 5 ng'oli mu kubalingiza politics mu mutwe. Banaakola ddi? Banaayiiya ddi? When will they work? Or when will they focus on business? That's why you find all Ugandans now, everything that happens, they interpret it politically. Even their own mistakes, they interpret them politically. I swear to the living God, most Ugandans who left Uganda to go abroad, you check in the embassies the reasons they were giving. Visit, tour, conference. None of them ever said that I'm running away because the country is bad. And I'm very sure the visas would have been given. Buli muntu ababawoza mbuno abawoza nti jakukola ebyokola. Abawoza mbu greener pastures. Bonna bagamanga visit, tour, school. Naye mazima gwe nobeera Namboze, gwe nobeera ono naddala ono Semujunganda. Mirundi emeka gy'ogenze mu constituency yo no twalayo PDM program ng'ate ddala PDM omanyi nti esobola okuyambako bw'oba katugambo mu constituency yo n'abantu 10,000 ne bwe yali yambyeko abantu 5,000 mirundi emeka gyoyise meeting n'oteekako abantu batuule bafune miliyoni emu. Okimanyi nti nno 8 ku 10 Abannayuganda bonna oba lese tuli miliyoni 45 naye miliyoni 4 ag'Abannayuganda buli muntu bw'omuwe miliyoni bw'abanga abeera mu byalo asobola ogikosa n'akola ssente miliyoni emu. Nfollowinze president ng'atambula ng'akebera enkoko embuzi akakasolo k'eggwanga kesijja kwogera abakalunda nga bonna capital kakadde. Ye bannange mwe mukimanyi nti no mu Uganda half of the Ugandans ekitundu ky'Abannayuganda basobola okusurvivinga a week ku mitwalo 3 wegit. Oba mukimanyi nti mu Uganda mukyalimu abantu ng'asobola okugula emmere ya 1500 oba olusanvu 700 shillings a plate of